I'm Maureen Fox, the Chief Development Officer here at Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. Tonight, we celebrate the amazing work being done by my colleagues of dedicated and essential workers during a very difficult time in our history. We will begin shortly. In the meantime, please feel free to chat among yourselves, share comments and emotions through the evening. Later in the program, we will be conducting a fund in need so that LSHV can continue to provide free, comprehensive civil legal services to those most in need. You can text to give by texting JUSTICE, JUSTICE, to 844-941-0051. You will need your credit card handy, so take a moment now to grab it. We have staff available on the chat, or you can email me at mfox@lshv.org if you are having any trouble. We'll be back shortly, so enjoy the program and have a great evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Equal Access to Justice Gala. My name is Tara Rosenblum, and I am thrilled to return as your Mistress of Ceremonies this year. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, but for those of you joining us virtually on Zoom this evening, a little bit about myself. I've been at News 12 for the past 2 decades. I've had a lot of roles since then: producer, reporter, writer, anchor, you name it. Most recently, I became the chief investigative reporter for the News 12 network. I also am the host of the Turn to Tara team. And yes, once again, I will tell you, it is so special for me. I've been at this event a number of years, but this year for me, it feels more special than ever. I will explain why. But first, a show of hands. Let me see, well, I can't really see that great back there, but a show of hands anyways. How many of you in this room, this is the first event you've been to since the pandemic in person? A lot of hands. So for me, this is actually the first, on a personal note, the first event I've emceed in nearly 2 years. So I'm so excited again to be with all of you and appreciate the honor of being asked to serve in this role. I do have my mask on. I know we all have mixed feelings about wearing masks when you're double vaccinated. For the record, I am double vaccinated, but my job does have a requirement that we do wear masks when I'm in a setting like this with this number of people. So putting that aside, we have so much to celebrate tonight of the great work of this organization and how they have performed during a very dark chapter in our history. This very special nonprofit organization is committed to providing free, high-quality, comprehensive civil legal services to children and families when their basic human needs are at stake. And if you feel as passionate about this organization as I do, as many of the people in this room do, I want to encourage you to get out there on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, and post your feelings about this night and your emotions at hashtag LSHV events. That's hashtag LSHV events. In 2020, even during a pandemic, legal services impacted the lives of, get this, over 27,000 of our neighbors, nearly 30,000 people. And the extraordinary part of that number is that nearly 10,000 of those people were children. 10,000, nearly a third. These individuals are just like us. They do their best to support their families and they want a better life. Yet because they live below the poverty line, one major illness, one job loss can turn into a devastating and desperate situation. Later, during the Fund in Need portion of this evening, you're going to have the opportunity to help LSHV continue to provide legal representation throughout the region to our most vulnerable neighbors. As you will continue to hear tonight, the need, as you all know, I don't have to tell you, it is greater than ever before. So join me at any point this evening, and please, if you can, give a donation. If you're in the room, there are pledge cards at all of your tables, right in the middle with forms attached. Or you or anyone joining us virtually tonight can text to give by texting the word JUSTICE, JUSTICE, to 844-941-0051. Tonight, in addition to celebrating the mission and the work of Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, we are extremely proud to recognize our two outstanding equal access to justice honorees. Barbara Finkelstein, the former CEO of the Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, will be honored for her lifetime of achievement in the fight for equal access to justice. And, yes, worthy of an applause already. And joining us shortly will be Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. She is being recognized this evening for her strong belief in advocating for the underserved and championing the needs of working families. We will have much more about each of them later tonight in our program. Right now, it is my pleasure to recognize some of the dignitaries that have joined us this evening. Please hold your applause till the end of the list. We have with us State Senator Shelley Mayer, AKA the hero of Rybrook these days. And I also spotted the former city councilman from Yonkers, John Murtaugh. And now it is my great honor to introduce a great friend representing the county executive. Pardon? Who did I miss? Help me out. I could never forget about Ken Jenkins. Are you kidding me? Come on. So yes, as I was saying, representing our great county executive of Westchester, George Latimer, we have with us our tireless Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins. He has done extraordinary work for our county in the past 2 years, but I will tell you what I consider to be the most impressive notch on his resume is his stint as a political analyst at News 12. People still to this day call and ask us to put Ken back in the air. Ken, take it away.
Well, good evening. Let's try again. Good evening. Good evening. First, I bring you greetings on behalf of County Executive George Latimer. Knowing George, he's still going to come anyway because he'll be around the entire county. But tonight, we are so proud to be here tonight to celebrate and recognize two outstanding individuals that have worked tirelessly on behalf of all of the folks around the Hudson Valley. But first, my good friend, Barbara Finkelstein, the former executive director. You know, I was talking to Barbara and I asked how she enjoys being retired now. And she was telling me about all the things she's continuing to do. But the fact of the matter is that Barbara is why a lot of us got engaged and involved in Legal Services of Hudson Valley. Let's give a round of applause for Barbara Finkelstein. And my good friend, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, I had the privilege to follow her after my News 12 stint, after my little News 12 stint, which was 10 years long, 9 and some change, but 10 years long, I got to follow behind Andrea Stewart-Cousins. You could tell I said the big shoes. That's because the editorial board, when they endorsed me, said I was filling the big shoes of Andrea Stewart-Cousins. And now, as the Senate Majority Leader, I know we're all so proud of her. Let's give her a round of applause as well. I want to take a second and just say that Legal Services of Hudson Valley and all of the outstanding work, the almost 30,000 people that were helped and assisted, they're the tireless group of individuals that work so hard, the pro bono partners, everything that happens. I know that we are in fantastic hands with the executive director appointed in January, Rachel Halperin. Let's make sure we recognize the work because she's blazing a new trail, right? And as Barbara would say, and Andre would say, and all of us that work would say, taking it to the next level. And now you even have a president, Francis, that came in to follow behind someone who probably thought he didn't have that much to do in his role as Johnson & Johnson General Counsel, and turned around, and now he's probably a little more busier than he thought with some vaccines and opioids, et cetera. Let's give it up for Francis and all of the executive board members here that are here this evening. Without Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, there would be so many people in tragic situations that would never have the opportunity to do what we think is just normal. So the fight that Legal Services of Hudson Valley continues to make, and all of the things and the support that people are here tonight and the ones watching online are doing, make sure to continue to support Legal Services of Hudson Valley. I know in the county, in the state, we're going to continue to do that. Congratulations, Barbara. Congratulations, Andrea, and have an outstanding evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, for joining us this evening. And now it is my pleasure to invite to the podium the CEO of the Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, Rachel Halpern.
Let me just say, it is so wonderful to see all of you here. It has been way too long. Thank you, Tara, and thank you to our terrific Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins. I'd also like to thank Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins and Senator Shelley Mayer, both of whom are fearless, tireless advocates for the fight for justice for all New Yorkers. We are so grateful for your support and attendance tonight. And thank you all for being here to support Legal Services of the Hudson Valley and our mission. I want to congratulate the members of the Board Development Committee, particularly its co-chairs, Jonathan Harris and Fran Pantaleo, for putting together a successful evening. I ask that they both stand and accept these small gifts to show our appreciation. Please give them and our amazing development department, led by Maureen Fox, a round of applause. Thank you to our sponsors, particularly our presenting sponsor, Paul Weiss. So many of you have been longstanding supporters, and we are grateful. You can see a full list of our sponsors in our journal and also on our website. As has been mentioned, we have two phenomenal honorees tonight, both who have played and continue to play major roles in the fight for equal access to justice in our communities. Barbara Finkelstein, our former CEO, who spent her entire career expanding access to justice for vulnerable people. And of course, Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who continues to be a true champion for the people of New York. Both women have been trailblazers, glass ceiling breakers, mentors, and leaders. Thank you both. The past 18 months have proven challenging for all of us. I want to thank the Board of Directors for their leadership during this time, especially Eric Haas, our outgoing president, and Fran Pantaleo, our current president. It has been a true partnership as we make our way through these challenging times. The pandemic proved that families living in poverty in our region suffer disproportionately because of inequities in access to valuable resources such as healthcare, technology, education, and justice. Indeed, justice is a valuable resource that communities cannot access without the assistance of an attorney. In the 7 counties we serve, Legal Services of the Hudson Valley is the sole provider of free, comprehensive civil legal aid for individuals and families who cannot afford an attorney when their basic human needs are at stake. In 2020 alone, we handled more than 12,000 cases, nearly 3,000 for seniors, 3,000 for victims of domestic violence, and nearly 1,000 for veterans and military families. Unfortunately, that still wasn't enough. We had to turn away nearly 3,000 people who were looking for assistance. 4 out of 10 Westchester County residents are renters. We are facing a county-wide housing crisis exacerbated by COVID-19. When the shelter-in-place order was issued in March of 2020 and businesses were forced to shut down, thousands of our neighbors who were already living paycheck to paycheck could not pay their rent or mortgage. Although both New York State and the federal government put in place various legal relief to prevent evictions and foreclosures, there was never a blanket moratorium that protected all renters and homeowners. Too often, those who needed the support and help were confused and didn't understand how to even apply. In turn, landlords who became frustrated and desperate to pay their own bills resorted to self-help, changing locks and shutting utilities. Civil legal aid attorneys were able to file emergency petitions. Without such representation, these individuals would have become homeless. Legal services was there. Tragically, due to shelter-in-place mandates, many victims of domestic violence found themselves forced to stay at home with their abusers. With limited opportunity to leave their homes during the pandemic, the ability of victims to access supportive services, including civil legal aid, were limited. What could be more terrifying than being trapped inside your own home with your abuser? With courts physically closed, victims seeking legal relief were not always sure how to access orders of protection, modifications of custody and visitation orders, or the child support necessary to keep themselves and their children safe. Once again, legal services was there. The sudden shutdown of businesses in March of 2020 meant many people who had never been unemployed before were seeking and applying for government benefits. Many were confused and unable to navigate the system. We helped many to access benefits they were entitled to ensure that struggling families receive these essential resources. Legal services was there again. LSHV played an essential role during the pandemic, and it continues to play a vital role in the region's recovery from the pandemic. Vulnerable families needed continued support to stabilize and recover from the trauma experienced during the pandemic. LSHV is not only a critical part of this recovery, but also a wise investment in our communities and for our residents. In New York State, every dollar spent on civil legal aid creates $10 in benefits for the recipients of the assistance, their communities, and the state combined. Justice should not be a limited resource that is available only to those who can afford it. Rather, all of our neighbors should have equal access to justice so that our communities can fully recover and come through this pandemic even stronger and fairer. Later in the program, you will have the opportunity to support our work even further through the Fund a Need and Text to Give. I hope you will consider the work we have ahead of us as an inspiration to give as generously as you can. Now, we have the great treat, although he couldn't be here with us in person because there's some business going on in Washington these days. He sent us a video message. Please sit back and listen to our keynote speaker, the person who I am proud to call my congressman, Congressman Mondaire Jones.
Good evening, everyone. I am thrilled to be with you all celebrating the legal services of the Hudson Valley, an incredible organization that is integral to our communities here in New York's 17th Congressional District. I want to start by recognizing and congratulating the honorees for tonight's event. Barbara Finkelstein, the former CEO of Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, and New York State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, my senator, a friend, and a personal hero. Barbara has dedicated her career to fighting for racial, social, and economic justice. And as the director of this organization for 25 years, she brought that fight for equity and justice to our communities right here in the Hudson Valley. Majority Leader Stewart-Cousins has been a champion for working families, not only here in Westchester, but all throughout New York State. In her work, she has always centered everyday working people first and understands how important organizations like the Legal Services of the Hudson Valley are in providing our communities the legal support that they need and deserve. Just like this organization, I'm here to serve our communities and do everything in my power to ensure that they can thrive. Many of you know that I grew up in the Hudson Valley, in the village of Spring Valley. I was raised by a single mom in Section 8 housing and on food stamps. I ran for Congress to represent the community that raised me and have fixed the broken systems that are hurting so many families in Westchester and Rockland and throughout our country. From healthcare to housing to our economy, these broken systems have failed working class families like the one I grew up in. One right that I know the legal services of the Hudson Valley works incredibly hard to protect is housing. Housing is a human right. And I've been working in Congress to guarantee that right for all. That's why I co-sponsored the Homes for All Act. This bill would be a major investment in the affordable housing market, with a goal of creating 12 million new units over 10 years. I'm also proud to co-sponsor the Unhoused Bill of Rights, a resolution that calls on the administration to initiate a plan to permanently end the unhoused crisis by 2025. As many of you know, last month, the federal eviction moratorium expired, leaving as many as 11 million people at risk of eviction. The House of Representatives had just left for August recess, and many members were already back in their districts. Meanwhile, the White House, which had extended the moratorium earlier this year, had announced that its hands were tied. But I, along with a few brave colleagues, refused to take no for an answer. In the world's richest nation, no one should have to experience housing insecurity, especially not during a deadly pandemic that housing insecure communities already bear the brunt of. This is why, for several days, I was out on the Capitol steps protesting the expiration of the eviction moratorium and calling for it to be extended. And after 5 long days, our calls were finally heard, with the CDC issuing a new eviction moratorium and saving millions of people from being evicted. As hard as we fought, and as many days as we stayed out on those Capitol steps, we know that this, unfortunately, is not where the story ends. A few weeks ago, the far-right supermajority on the Supreme Court, in a dangerous and cruel decision, struck down the CDC's eviction moratorium, leaving millions yet again at risk of eviction. Thankfully, we all are not powerless to help these millions of people. Under the leadership of people like Majority Leader Stuart Cousins, New York State has already extended its own eviction moratorium. And the legal services provided by organizations like this one are crucial in protecting housing as the fundamental right that it is, and ensuring that so many people throughout the Hudson Valley are housed. For far too many people, those who already can't afford to pay rent can almost certainly not afford the legal services needed to navigate these complex housing issues. It's why we need to protect the right to counsel, not just on the state level, but on the federal level. I know this need well as someone who provided pro bono criminal defense as a law student and pro bono legal aid as a practicing attorney. I'm proud to co-sponsor the Access to Counsel Act, which would ensure U.S. citizens and others with lawful status have access to counsel if detained for more than an hour at a port of entry, which happened frequently during the execution of the Muslim ban. And I'm delighted that this bill has already passed the House. I'm also proud to co-sponsor the Ensuring Quality Access to Legal Defense Act, which expands and increases funding for public defenders. Everyone deserves the right to legal representation, no matter what. And I'll continue advocating for this as an active member of the House Judiciary Committee. As I continue to fight for the people, as House Democrats say, the work that you are doing on the ground in helping individuals throughout the Hudson Valley is invaluable. From housing to healthcare, to family services, and so much more, our communities here in the Hudson Valley, and especially our most marginalized, are better off because of the tireless advocacy and dedication of legal services of the Hudson Valley. I may be new to Congress, but the Hudson Valley has been home my entire life, and I have long admired the work that you all do. I am so honored and proud to call you all partners in the fight for equity and justice. I could not do this work without your help on the ground. And I know that together we will build a future here in the Hudson Valley that works for everyone. Thank you so much.
To share with you now a video highlighting the work we do throughout the region.
Legal Services of the Hudson Valley is the only provider of comprehensive civil legal services in the 7 counties in the Hudson Valley. We ensure that our clients have access to basic human necessities, so that includes housing, safety, public benefits, healthcare. We also provide assistance to vulnerable populations like the elderly, LGBTQ community, veterans and military families, victims of domestic violence.
Our organization really stresses working with them as individuals, treating them with respect, and providing a valuable service to them.
We get to help people who are facing crises, who have the ability to overcome, but just need the assistance to do so. And that's where we step in.
Mi mamá me decía, en las noticias están diciendo que nosotros tenemos derecho al desempleo. Y yo le decía, no, mamá, porque yo estoy trabajando.
Flor came to us when she was denied emergency assistance, and immediately I saw that she was eligible for unemployment and retroactive. I triaged and found out exactly what was going on in her situation, recommended immediately that she apply for pandemic unemployment assistance, and also that her mother apply.
Mi mamá le dio muchas gracias a Dios cuando nos llamaron y nos dijeron que sí nos iban a dar el desempleo a ella y a mí, el beneficio del desempleo. Yo vi que él me estaba ayudando con honestidad. O sea, me siento segura cuando siento que una persona me está ayudando honestamente.
When you have members of your community that can't meet their basic needs and, they can't afford their rent and can't find an attorney to help defend them in a case which they may have defenses to. That's the whole philosophy behind legal services.
My mother, who's now 92 years old, 2 years ago had a very bad case of pneumonia, and she ended up at White Plains Hospital for about 2 months. I only had at that moment 5 hours of home attendant service. I needed much more help. So I just called Legal Services, and we had a phone call with a judge that heard the case and gave us the hours that we needed. You guys have been absolutely wonderful. You were lifesavers.
Because there's no constitutional right to free legal services in a civil setting, without organizations like Legal Services of the Hudson Valley, people could find themselves without representation because they're simply priced out of legal services altogether.
I was dealing with a bad landlord that didn't want to repair the damages to my apartment. Ceiling was leaking, water, maggots was coming from the cracks. Me and my daughter, we couldn't stay there. I was very desperate when I called Legal Services. They assigned me Chris Conroy to my case. Chris was able to settle my case without us going to court. Chris was able to help me get the new apartment. My life is a 360. I have peace of mind. I have an elevator. It's refreshing. It's a peace of mind. And that's something that money can't buy, is a peace of mind.
We're seeing people at their most vulnerable and some of the worst moments in their life. And it can be rewarding work to help them change that situation, to get that food, to get income, to get out of a bad and abusive relationship.
Yo me vine a este país porque sufría violencia doméstica con mi madrastra. Y lo único que yo quería pues era estar con mi mamá y poder conocer a mi mamá. Hasta que al llegar acá pues buscamos a una abogada en el lugar de servicios legales de Hudson Valley, y ahí fue donde nos ayudaron y agarraron nuestro caso. Mi abogada, por ello es que nosotros tenemos ahorita la residencia. Si no los hubiéramos buscado yo, pues no hubiéramos logrado lo que ahora tenemos.
Oftentimes someone comes to us for one issue, and then as we peel back the onion, we realize that there are many other legal issues that are underlying that we also need to address.
We make sure that our client just knows their rights and know what's out there for them, and that's a big piece of our work.
We rented a cottage from our landlord January 2018. And then at the end of 2019, we started to fall behind on rent a little bit. We missed one payment. I apologized, and she said, you know what? I'm just gonna evict you guys. And I was just like, I can't believe this. You know, we've been here for 2 years. This is terrible. I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to maneuver it. All I know is going in alone is not the best way for me to go in because I don't know what I'm up against and I don't know what rights I have. And I talked to the person at Legal Services and she was like, listen, Sean, this is cut and dry. You have an agreement, go in there with confidence, tell the judge that you were willing to pay because I have payment in hand and they have to honor the lease. The judge honored it, we paid the back rent, and without that, the system would have beat us. Their lawyer would have beat us. We would have been evicted and we would have been in a very bad place.
Our clients are often people who can't afford the $300 or $400 private lawyer, but we're gonna give them the same quality representation because people matter to us and the work matters to us.
They changed my life. They changed my life and they changed my daughter's life, and I appreciate it.
This organization is amazing. The professionalism, the advice that was given was just extremely helpful, and I am very grateful.
Vivo muy agradecida de poder estar aquí y de que me hayan ayudado. Un excelente trabajo. Muchas gracias.
I am delighted to introduce to you one of the stars of our video, Teresa Santiago. Let's give her an applause for her fight to get services for her mother.
Oh, I got emotional seeing that. Thank you, Rachel, the Board of Directors of Legal Services, and your amazing staff. I want to tell you a secret. I'm one of your biggest fans. And I would like to share my experience with this incredible group of people. The help I received from Legal Services when I was fighting, and when I say I was fighting, I was literally really fighting to get services for my mother, Julia. My mom is now 93. In the video, she was 92. And she has severe dementia. And I am her primary caretaker with a full-time job and a lot of other responsibilities. She came to live with me 10 years ago when she was still active and mobile and quite the social butterfly. It has been heartbreaking to see the deterioration of her mental and physical health. This woman who was strong, yet humble, that raised and educated 5 children on her own. She was a community activist in the South Bronx, and she was a housing advocate also. In the fall of 2019, she was hospitalized with pneumonia because she was bedridden. She couldn't walk when it was time to go home, so she ended up going to a rehab. She went to rehab, but it didn't take, so she is now wheelchair bound. While all of these changes in my mother's life was going on, I knew that I needed more help. There was no way that I was able to take care of her with 5 hours a day of home care. So, especially for someone that's working full-time, it's just impossible to take care of your loved ones. I was blessed that my employer gave me the opportunity to work from home. That was the only way I was able to do that, and not many people have that luxury of staying home. When she was in rehab for 3 months, I tried several times to get more hours for her, and every time I was denied. Finally, when she was ready to go home, I was told that I was gonna get 2 more hours, bringing it to 7. But I knew that that was not enough. I knew I would not be able to take care of her, especially with the new illnesses that she was going through. She was released, and with no aid plan in place. 3 days after being home, she fell, and she's fractured 3 of her ribs, and she was back in rehab. At this point, I was at my wit's end. I had tried over and over to get more time for her, and I was being denied. In desperation, I called the Legal Aid Society, and they recommended Legal Services of Hudson Valley. Immediately, I felt a strong team of support. Within a day, I had an appointment with Pat Angley. I know she's not here, but she's my hero, guys. And she heard my mother's story and immediately took on her case. I had a fair hearing set for March, right in the middle of COVID. It was done by phone. Pat walked me through every single step. She gave me information, she prepped me, she made sure that I was ready to answer the judge's questions and that I was a true advocate for my mother. From the time I walked into your office to the time that my mother got more hours, because we won, and she has 12 hours, Monday through Friday, weekends, and I feel it happened in 4 weeks, unheard of, and I am truly grateful. This increase in hours proved to be a true godsend, especially during the isolation of the COVID pandemic. It made sure that my mom kept engaged, she was healthy and taken care of. I no longer feared that she would fall or that something would happen to her, and that there was always someone there for her. And my quality of life also changed. I was no longer stressed out or with a lot of anxiety. I will be forever grateful for the assistance I received with legal services. Your compassion, understanding, and commitment to the underserved, especially the elderly, is outstanding. I often wonder what happens to people that don't have family or don't have people to advocate for them. I was blessed to find legal services. I thank God for legal services every day. And Pat Angley, you're amazing and my mom's hero. Thank you so much.
Teresa, I think all parents hope for children like you. I know my folks will be lucky if they get half the son that you are of a daughter. In preparation for tonight, I had a very lengthy conversation with Pat Angley. She really wanted to be here tonight, but because of COVID restrictions, this is the first in-person gala she's missed in, I think, a decade. She's been with Legal Services for almost 13 years, and she cares so deeply about this work. And what she impressed upon me is a very accurate measure of society, of a community is the care it takes of its elders. Just a really clear way to gauge what society is, what kind of community, what kind of civilization. And the work that Pat did on behalf of your mother is a testament to why we all are here tonight. Goes without saying, this isn't an easy thing to pull off. I didn't even introduce myself. You put a short dude in a flashy suit and he just feels entitled to start talking. My name is C.K. Sweat, and in the before times, I was a charity auctioneer. I'd come to events like this, and I'd sell cruises. Not really a hot item right now. And I first experienced the work of legal services on Valentine's Day 2017. I had just gone through a bad breakup, so I decided to go to the Yonkers courthouse and sit in the back room. And what I saw on that very cold day was one of the most harrowing things I'd ever come across in person. It was almost like a horror show you'd see on Netflix, because family after family would stand in front of a judge and say, "We don't want to be homeless. We are holding on by the thinnest of threads, and without your mercy, we won't have anywhere to live." And what strengthened that single thread, what ensured that it did not break, was the work of legal services, provided for free. Anybody who comes, they get that work. And so often, just like Miss Mandry, just like your mom, you win. And what we're facing right now, that was put into such stark relief, especially after the floods that ransacked Mamaroneck, is housing insecurity. Is just, we need more victories. We need more victories. And so I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have any cruise packages, because you don't want those anyways. But I do have an ask, and I do have an opportunity. We need, in this room, we need to raise an additional $50,000. And for you watching at home, staring right into the camera, to all of you watching at home, we need to raise an additional $10,000 from you. We need $10,000 from you, and we need $50,000 from all of you. And we're going to have a thermometer up on the screen to chart the folks at home. But from all of you, I can see you, and I'm so happy that you are here. And we're going to start at the top level, and we're going to work our way down, and we're going to ensure that the coming days, weeks, months, and into 2022, that we have victory after victory after victory like we had for your mom. And so if there's anybody here who understands how urgent and how relevant this is for this community, and will help take that measure. And you can hold your paddle up. Your paddles are on. Have a little 2-digit or 1-digit number. If you can hold your paddle up here in this room and make a commitment of $5,000, this is your time to act. The $5,000 level. If you can hold that up high. At the $5,000 level, at the $5,000 level. This is also the time, if you have a glass with some liquid in it, take a big drink. They say that bourbon is like the Gatorade of charity auctions. At the $5,000 level, at the $5,000 level. And I have to remind you, a prerequisite of my line of work, not being tall, not having all my teeth, it's a COVID-related thing, and it lost my health insurance. I'm going to be calling up legal services of Williamsburg, Brooklyn pretty soon. But we do have to have a very high tolerance of awkwardness. And I will wait. I will wait for that $5,000 pledge before I move down to the next level. I will literally bathe myself in that moment of all of you staring at me and saying, when is this going to end? At the $5,000 level, I'll give you a second more. I'll give you a second more at the $5,000. And for our AV guys, just before I go down, can we check in with our online donors on that? So we've raised $77 online. Thank you. And just let it be known that that $77 is beating you by infinity %. Don't let the online bidders, I love you, but don't let the online bidders win, because then we will never go back to in-person parties. We will live on Zoom in perpetuity. If that is not something that Dante would have written about if he was alive right now. I'm incredible source material. So one more second. I'll give you one more second. At the $5,000 level, all you have to do is hold that paddle with that little number on your table. Second more. Let's now take it down. Let's now take it down to the $2,500 level. If you can hold up your paddle. Look at that! 14, thank you. 79, thank you. So well done. Keep them coming. Are there two more? Are there two more at the $2,500 level? The $2,500 level. Give you a moment here. Oh, we had a little bit of momentum. Let's keep that going. At $2,500. At $2,500. Oh, I thought I saw a paddle. AV, can we go back to our online donors just to see how we're doing vis-a-vis them? Still online. Make those donations. Text that number. Text justice to 844-941-0051. We're doing this. We're going to make this happen. Okay. So we're at $2,500, $5,000. Let's now take it. Let's now take it to the $1,000 level. If you can hold up your paddle. 56, thank you. 28, thank you. 75, thank you. 6, thank you. Can I have one more pledge at $1,000? 12, thank you very much. Well done. Well done. In the last 3 minutes, that's $10,000 raised for legal services of the Hudson Valley to get those victories, to get those wins, to help the most vulnerable, to help the elderly, a measure of society. I'm going to take it now down to the $500 level. If you can hold up your paddle. Look at that. 44, thank you. 99, thank you. 95, thank you. 29, thank you. 7, thank you. 27, thank you. 10, thank you. 44, thank you. 60, thank you. I need one more. I need one more, because that was 9 pledges at 500, and if we get 10, 45 right there. Thank you so very much. You know what's so cool about that is I'm guessing that when you left the house this evening, you not turn to your partner and say, hey, honey, I really hope we get to see somebody do math on stage, live. It's like you're attending the world's worst magic show. But somehow simultaneously, you're attending, and just because events are so few and far between, you're attending the Hudson Valley's most important get-together, because it's providing those services for your community, for the most vulnerable in your community. And that cannot be overemphasized. That cannot be overstated. The work is so urgent. So we're going to take it now to the $250 level. If you can hold up your paddle, make it 254, thank you, 66, thank you, 70, thank you, 61, thank you. Nicely done. 25, thank you, 57, thank you. That's 6 pledges at $250, an additional $1,584, thank you. That's an additional $1,750, which doesn't really roll off the tongue like elemental P. So I need one more at $250 to get me that 2,000 level at the $250. I need one more pledge at $250, so I have even counting numbers. I was an English major, and this is harder than it looks. Unless, of course, any of you brought a TI-83 calculator and you can help with the math because it's a really cool party accessory. Thank you. 46 right there, an additional $2,000 raised. So well done. Well done. And before I go to our last level, I just have to reemphasize, if you were feeling shy, and if anybody here I can identify with that is relatable to me, I'm a very shy person. My heart's going like at 215 beats per minute right now. Rough. This is rough for me. So scared of crowds. But if you are feeling shy, or if you recently had rotator cuff surgery and just couldn't lift the paddle above eyebrow level, I get that also. We are at a tennis club, a lot of rotator cuff injuries here. You can just fill out that card, and you should be filling out that card anyways. If you put your paddle up, you have the pens, you have the dexterity, you fill out those cards when you raise them and turn those in. Or if it's easier, all you have to do is take out your phone and use that cool QR code, and you can put justice in or text numbers. There's so many different ways to do it, but don't walk out of here not having done one of those, actually submitting those donations, because we will track you down if we have to. I don't know how, but we will do it. So at the very last level, who will join me? And I'm making a $100 pledge in it, just thinking back to that awful Valentine's Day that I spent in the back of the Yonkers courtroom and watching those lawyers save those families. And if you've made a donation before, you can definitely double dip and make a second donation. So if you can hold up your paddle at the $100 level, I want to call out all those numbers. At the $100 level, who will join me right now at the $100 level? 52, thank you. 47, thank you. 59, thank you. 100, thank you. 97, thank you. 94, thank you. 91, thank you. 83, thank you. 8, thank you. That was 9. Oh, I forgot to count myself. That was an additional 10 at $100. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your commitment coming out today, watching at home, sending in those donations. Do not let fellow citizens fall through the cracks. Don't let them get lost in the labyrinths of the justice systems. You are their guides. You will get them through. You will find them safety and justice. I applaud all of you. Thank you so very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone, for your generosity and support. We are grateful. And if you didn't yet donate or want to tell your friends who couldn't be here how to donate, you can continue to donate through the text to give until the end of this month. To present our first Access to Justice Award, I want to introduce one of Legal Services' most devoted supporters, Al Dinellon, managing partner at Del Bello Dinellon, Weingarten, Wise, and Whitaker, where his practice includes commercial litigation, corporate law, and real estate acquisition. He is our former board president and last year's recipient of the Equal Access to Justice Award. His generosity, his spirit, and his devotion to his community and civil legal services has helped transform legal services of the Hudson Valley into the robust organization it is today. And we need to give Al an extra loud applause because last year when we honored him, it was virtual and he couldn't hear us, so.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Rachel. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to see all of you here tonight in person and to celebrate with Legal Services of the Hudson Valley and to introduce my friend and colleague, Barbara Finkelstein. Anyone who knows Legal Services knows Barbara. She has been a champion of justice for over 25 years and a fierce advocate for the right to counsel in civil legal services. In 1995, Barbara was hired as the executive director of the Westchester Putnam Legal Services, which later became Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. At that time, there was one office in White Plains, about 20 employees, and a $2 million budget. In 25 years, Barbara grew the organization to serve all 7 counties in the Hudson Valley, employ over 160 staff members, and grew the budget to more than $20 million. Under her leadership, Legal Services of Hudson Valley grew to include units in domestic violence, children's advocacy, veterans and military families, LGBTQ, and the Pink Project for those suffering from and surviving breast cancer. She also launched LSHV's Internal Diversity and Inclusion Initiative in 2015, well before it became the norm. Barbara is also responsible for the creation of the affiliate organization, the Hudson Valley Justice Center, which was created in 2014 to serve the undocumented population in the LSHV, which LSV is restricted from servicing. And all of that and all of those accomplishments were just her day job. Barbara is a recognized leader in legal services movement and an active participant in many coalitions and organizations. She was a member of the New York State Bar Association's President Committee on Access to Justice. She was co-president of the New York Civil Legal Services Coalition and the vice president of nonprofit Westchester. Currently, she is special advisor to the New York State Permanent Commission on Access to Justice and a current member of the New York State Bar Association's Committee on Legal Aid. And she is the co-chair of the Westchester Right to Counsel Coalition. Her work and leadership through these groups have greatly advanced the cause of free legal services throughout New York State. As a board member, I had the privilege of working with Barbara for many years. I was always impressed with her advocacy on behalf of the clients and the organization, and how she can rattle off from her memory poverty and case statistics from each county in the Hudson Valley. It's truly amazing. She knows the ins and outs of legal services like no other, and she continues to be a ferocious advocate for the right to counsel and civil legal services. I enjoyed the time that I had to work with Barbara over the years, and I am proud to have this opportunity to present Barbara Finkelstein with the Equal Access to Justice Lifetime Achievement Award. Please join me in congratulating Barbara and welcoming her to the podium.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Please forgive me, the light is shining in my eyes, so I really can't see you, as Tara let you know. But I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, those of you in person and those of you remotely. And I want to thank Al for that extremely gracious introduction. Al's always been my true partner and a champion for legal services, and I really was privileged to work alongside Al for so many years. As Rachel said, last year Al was honored and he really didn't get an in-person celebration, so I'm glad we recognized him tonight. But for those of you in the room who know him and for those who don't know him, he really was a stabilizing force, you know, on the organization. When he became a board member, he helped us acquire the building that Legal Services owns at 90 Maple Avenue. And he was always a really great sounding board for me and a steady hand, and I always appreciated that. Thank you, Al. I also want to thank Ken for his kind remarks. I've known Ken a very long time, and we've done a lot of great things together, and I'm really happy you're the Deputy County Executive. Thanks, Ken. Congressman Jones is also my congressman, and I was very inspired by his comments, and I applaud everything that he said in his video, and all of the legislation that he's sponsoring, and I'm very proud that he represents the Hudson Valley, and I hope to be able to support the work that he does in the future. I want to congratulate Andrea Stewart-Cousins, my co-honoree. I will be introducing her more formally later, but we are so lucky to have Andrea as our senator and as the majority leader. She is an inspiration to everyone, including me. So congratulations, Andrea. So even tonight when I arrived here, people keep asking me what it's like to be retired. And that's a really strange word to me because I feel like I do so many things. But now I have time not only to really continue to work on the critical social, economic, and racial justice issues that propelled me to law school and into legal services as an attorney, but I have time to do other things, fun things, that you know, anybody who's retired in the room knows that you can put that into your day as well. And I really wish that for so many of you. You can't even believe how enjoyable it is. And the first thing that I enjoyed, and this may sound really weird, is eating lunch. I used to gobble the food down at my desk, and it was during the pandemic, and my husband, Sean Delaney, is here. And I was like, wow, we're eating lunch. This is amazing. So I left Legal Services of the Hudson Valley because I really wanted to be untethered from running an organization. That's Rachel's job now. And, you know, it's just, I wanted to continue doing the work that I love, but I wanted to do it on my terms. When I wanted to do it, and also in an unrestrained way. And I'm able to do that now. And I also felt very strongly that I could leave the organization because it is so strong. I mean, as you've heard tonight, Legal Services of the Hudson Valley really is an institution. It is well known throughout the country. It's a strong program in New York State. And I knew that I could leave the program. It's in good hands with Rachel and with the staff, and it will continue to thrive. And everything I've seen tonight only reinforces that for me. I loved the video. I loved seeing the clients, and I think it reminds us all that of the variety of cases, of the breadth and the depth of Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. It's not just a one-issue program, but it helps so many people with so many issues, and that's sorely needed. It was always sorely needed, but even more so now. So Al's already told you that when I started, there was one office, and now it's 9 offices, 165 employees. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to grow the program. When the opportunities came, I was there to take them. I always had, you know, great board members to support me. And I met and worked with some of the most remarkable people, staff, board, and clients, and I'm grateful to the staff that I worked with throughout my career for their really uncompromising passion for the work and their hard work, as you could see in the video tonight. And I think many of them may be, you know, watching remotely, and I want to thank them, and I want them to know that I think about them, And I hope that they and their families are safe and healthy, and I know you continue to do the work remotely and in person. I want to thank all the former and dedicated board members, generous donors and funders, and our legislative leaders and partners who have stood behind Legal Services of the Hudson Valley's mission to ensure that all people have access to an attorney when they're facing civil problems affecting the basic necessities of life. I take with me the memories, so many memories of all those years and all those people and all those clients. I'm especially proud of the part I played in putting Legal Services of the Hudson Valley on the map and for really spreading the word about the need for legal services for low-income people. I think that, because legal services is a broad subject, sometimes people forget that it is as important as feeding the hungry. It helps feed the hungry. It helps domestic violence victims. It's really the backbone of so much of the work that is done in the county and in the state. In addition to thanking Al, I also want to mention my first board chair, Lucille Oppenheim, who couldn't be here with us tonight. Those were very difficult days, and Lucille stood by my side 100% as we slowly expanded. And that was always the mantra, slow and steady, making sure that you have the staff you need and the infrastructure you need to build a strong and solvent program. Lastly, I also want to thank Helene Barnett. As Al also mentioned, I am a special advisor to the New York State Permanent Commission on Access to Justice. I was appointed to that commission by Judge Lippman, who created the commission in 2010, and it continues under Chief Judge DeFiore. Even though I retired from LSHV, Helene asked me to stay on as a special advisor and then asked me to co-chair a housing work group. And in that capacity, I really worked on a number of issues, but none more important than the right to counsel on a statewide level. And I know the county is also working on a right to counsel bill, but I think that we are working on it as well on a statewide level. And something that I think is very important, that we worked with Westchester County to create a guardian ad litem program in eviction cases for those tenants who really can't come to court or infirm or have mental health issues or who are elderly. And Westchester County is the first county outside of New York City to compensate guardian ad litems, so that we make sure that we have a list of people who will perform these services. And so thank you, Ken, and please thank George. It is a pilot. It is called a pilot, and it is going to be mentioned in the Chief Judge's report coming out at the end of the year. So lastly, I want to thank my family. My husband, Sean Delaney, is here with me tonight. He has really been my partner all through this, supporting me. And my children, Leah and William, and as mothers who work know, how hard it is to balance everything. And they also stood by me and understood and believed in the work that I was doing and understood that I couldn't always, be at the games or, be at the school like the other moms. But they support me, and I love them very much. And I'm seeing them more now because I have more time. Thank you. She wants to take a picture, right? Thank you.
Should we put okay?
Well, now I get the honor of introducing Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend, my senator, and my fellow advocate, Senator Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. For anyone who has ever met Andrea, they know she believes in being a voice for the underserved and campaigning for the needs of working families. She is a distinguished public servant and an open-minded leader whose values and strengths are an asset to the state and particularly to Westchester County. Andrea is a formidable trailblazer, being the first woman and the first African-American woman to lead a New York State legislative conference. She shattered the glass ceiling when she was elected as Senate Majority Leader in 2019, and continues to progressively lead and guide on the state level to bring real reforms on so many issues. As Congressman Jones mentioned, I think it was Congressman Jones, or maybe it was Ken, about the eviction prevention moratorium, and the Senate moved on that immediately. So thank you, Andrea, when the federal government failed and when the Supreme Court failed to uphold that moratorium. We are grateful to have her as a compelling voice for the people of our state, having worked in sales, marketing, and as a teacher in the Yonkers Public School before she became an elected official. So that's a lot. She understands the struggles working class and working class poor and other disenfranchised families face just to make ends meet. Legal Services is grateful to her for her partnership, collaboration, and support over the years, and we are proud to present this inspirational leader here tonight with the Equal Access to Justice Award. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And thank you to Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. I never, ever thought that Barbara was ever going to retire. And when she called me and said, how could you do that? How could you do that? You know, how does somebody walk away when there's so much to be done? And she explained to me, like any rational person would, that, you know, what she just said. You know, I want to enjoy, I want to keep advocating, I want to enjoy. I know that the Legal Services is in very good hands, and it is in Rachel. So, Rachel, thank you. You've eased all. Let's give her a hand. A lot of work to do. And so she said, it's all in good hands, and so no, don't worry. So I accepted that. And now here we are, co-honorees, and I can only say that knowing that Legal Services of the Hudson Valley is here and available for my constituents and our constituents across the Hudson Valley is one of the things that makes my job, frankly, easier. I really want to thank Mondaire, who has come on really strong in Congress. He's very clear on what it is he has to do and why things matter. And it is just so nice to be in a space where, whether it's on the county level, and thank you, Ken, who's been, you know, a friend and you know, collaborator in so many ways, and of course, you and the county executive and the county legislature, who understand what people go through and are willing to do the things that we in government need to do in order to make the right things happen. And right behind you is my good buddy and partner, I won't say in crime, and doing good stuff. We don't do anything, there's all these lawyers, we're good. we're innocent. But my partner in so much in Westchester County, and certainly we both share Yonkers. And I think she and I, as the, we won't say he was an auctioneer, as the charity monetary fundraiser, he got us to give money, so whatever. And we didn't go on a cruise, so he does all right. But when he was talking about sitting in the Yonkers courthouse, we've been there. We've seen family after family come there begging. It's for some relief, for some way to hold on to a place they can barely hold on to, but with no thought of where they might go, how they're going to, you know, couch surf with 5 kids. What's going to happen to them? So we, and I will say certainly every one of the delegation on the Senate side and on the Assembly side get that we can make a difference. And that's why it wasn't hard to know, especially when the CDC eviction moratorium was struck down, that we had to act, because our moratorium was due to expire on August 31st. And we are technically not in session, but with a new governor and the money that we'd gotten from Congress, over $2 billion, had not gone out the door, and people's lives were hanging so precariously in the balance, there was no question that we had to go back and make this right. But when you do what we did, and we did extend that moratorium to the 15th of January, to know there is a partner in legal services who can provide the kind of counsel, who can provide the kind of guidance, stability, what they did for Teresa. I don't know if she's still there. But what they do as soon as they put their arms around you, so you're just not saying, okay, you've got another couple of months and maybe we'll figure it out, but there is indeed a safety net. And that's what Legal Services of the Hudson Valley provides. And so when Barbara says that they've grown this organization, and you started with, as you're saying, Alan, how it was this tiny little place, and now she's, expanded. And I was there during all of those expansions. I think when I started in city government, it was 1992, and that's probably around the time when I first met you, and then when I got into the county legislature. And it was invariably, Barbara would be on the phone. Hi, Tara. Barbara would be on the phone saying, we could do so much more. Yeah, raise your hand if you heard that. If only. And then you'd listen to the compelling story, and you knew that the next budget, if you could, you'd have to find those dollars. And I see John Murtaugh there, and I'm sure that happened to you in the city level, and I'm sure you're part of supporting this, but there's never enough. And the problem is, there is a real need. Then she calls and she says, she's talking, we're back in this Yonkers courthouse, and she's calling me saying, there's so many people being evicted and we've got to stop. So therefore, I'm sending people to sit there while this is happening so they will stop being evicted. But I don't have the money to do this. So Barbara, you're sitting there collecting new clients and you don't have the money. I know, but I have to do it. And she did. And you do. And then it's up to us in government to figure out a way, not to say, go back to your office and wait till people call you, but to say, what you're doing is what's needed. And because government is there to do this kind of work, because government at its best is supposed to be that space where we take care of the vulnerable, not judge them, not decide they haven't suffered enough, but really figure out a way, because that's what we do. When a credible, legitimate, hard-working organization that is actually keeping people in their homes so that they can maybe get a better break in life, when they come and they say, help. I'm very, very proud that we're able to help. And this time we celebrated, I think it was $2.6 million for the legal services and all of your little little catchment areas and as you continue to expand. I'd like to think, Rachel, that you won't expand, but I know better. But as long as legal services continues to be not only the safety net, but the pinnacle of what can be done when conscientious, talented people get together to do it, you will have a partner in me, and you will have a partner in government. So thank you very much for the honor. Thank you. Oh, this way? Okay. All right, Margaret.
All right, Tara's going to close out our program. We have a small gift for you as well to thank you for your long-standing support of our organization and being our fearless MC.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And how about a round of applause for our honorees? I have to add my 2 cents. I can't see them, but I'm going to add my 2 cents. First with State Senator, our Senate Majority Leader, our original glass shatterer, our first glass shatterer here in New York, Senator Stuart Cousins. You know, I've known her for a very long time. Our families go back decades to her earliest years in public service. And I'll just say, it probably, Andrea, doesn't surprise anyone in this room that knows you, that you show up here without a note, speaking extemporaneously, and 99% of your speech was commending the actions of everyone else, and you were the one being honored. That's just so typical of you. Senator Stuart Cousins is just an extraordinary, yes, we all know public servant and public official, but I think what makes her the most extraordinary is the type of friend, mom, and grandparent that she is. Westchester is lucky to have her as one of our own and fighting for our rights and our core values up in Albany. Congratulations to you, my friends. And to Barbara, there you are, Barbara. So Barbara, I've had the great pleasure, you're simply put, you're a treasure in Westchester County. I wish you a lot of long, peaceful lunches and brunches in your future. But you are so very appreciated. And after all these years of coming to this event and serving as your MC, it's just a really special night to see you having your rightful moment in the spotlight and being commended. And I congratulate you and your family. And if you'll indulge me for 5 more seconds, I know it's late, I just have to offer my congratulations to Al Dinellon. His legal prowess and skills are undeniable, but the best part of Al, if you know Al, is that his heart can't even fit into this room. He is one of the best overall people and friends and family guys and husbands. Are there any grandkids on the way? Can we make some news tonight? Not yet, but close? Okay. But we are so lucky to have Al, still a part of this organization. He's a wonderful human being. So with that, I want to thank all of you for coming out on behalf of the legal services of the Hudson Valley to support us in person and, yes, on Zoom this evening. We could not do it without you. Thank you for giving so generously this evening. Your support is invaluable, and you are encouraged to get involved long after this gala as a volunteer, an advocate, and a contributor. You will be making a significant impact in the community we all share. I am told that there's coffee and cookies awaiting you outside. And now I'll ask our board members, Rachel, Barbara, and Al, to join me at the podium for one last group shot before we head home. Thank you, everyone, for having me. So special to be here with you tonight.